Hello, Terry here, and we are back with Colors of Fate. So, yeah, we are going inside the forest, and a little bit of spoiler: the developer, not the developer, actually, the coordinator. What do you call it? Director? Caramelo, Mellow B, or Magic Bench, whichever you decide to call. There's gonna be a lot of spoilers in the forest, which that there's a lot of black in the forest, which I kinda hope that it isn't that bad. Let's go. Until the visible dirt trail became the only road desperate enough to carve its way through the underbrush, where treetops shielded the sun from seeing through and roots peeked out from the soil. That place was ripe with rare opportunity and so much more magical for a child than an adult. That an, than oh, not that an adult. So inside they went, inside the forest. Ah, look at that. Not look, hear that. That's That is an absolutely lovely sound of the forest. It is nice and cool here, indeed, I must agree. And serene, yeah, that's the word to describe the sound. Serene sounds more like a name than a word, Andres. Sure. Serene, it means for something to be tranquil. Now you're inventing words. I don't know what trend means, but quills you use to write things. I'm really not. Uh-huh. And next you're gonna tell me that Betelgeuse was a real English name, or perhaps a real word? Hmm, sure. It's mean peaceful and calm, Melia. And it's calm here? Mm-hmm. Oh, sure is. Shh, not so loud, Melia. You will scare the critters like that bird over there. What bird? This bird. Hmm. Enter sprinted towards a woodpecker, its sharp beak creating a fast-paced rhythm to offset the forest's demeanor. Ah. The tree at its mercy had a hole carved into it, and the bird worked with as much precision as their own village woodworker. Oh, wow! Wow! Look how strong it is. I'll hope I'll be just as strong one day. Indeed, you will be. You want to hit your nose against tree bark to go? No, silly. If I want to become a lumberjack, I need to be like a woodpecker. You will be, but the thought is too funny. Andrews, overly amused by the mental image invading his head, soon found himself openly laughing. The woodpecker, disturbed in its work routine, turned its head and flew away, leaving a half-finished hole behind. It granted the tree a large scar-like mark. Andrews cleared his throat. Anyway, we should search for the herbs now. Indeed. Yeah, wax like feeling to the touch, right? Indeed. Mm-hmm, you got it. You still remember. Andrews crouched down, picking at stray plants here and there, some prickly, some smooth, but none feeling like wax. Picking up some of the rare ones for future remedies was a good idea nonetheless. And so Amelia watched as many different herbs found their way into Andrew's satchel for plant gathering. The young boy picked them with expertise, his movement clumsy and childlike, but his knowledge vast and wide. Anders held up a cilantro leaf, its mother plant hidden behind soft shade. This one is good for fighting off weavers. Ah, interesting. Cilantro. That is great for colds, huh? Indeed. Then Andrew showed a valerian plant, roots and all, which had been sitting in the sun. And this one, root, a sleeping aid. Ah. Good thing your explanation don't bore me to sleep, Andres. The next plant Andres held up to Melia was a small mint plant, its leaves fresh and soft to the touch. Oh, and Jan always take this one after he hit the tar. Ah, the one of those plants. Eh? Ron must be a fan too then, indeed. At last Andres showed off a collection of mugwort leaves, their large spiky look akin to fairy tongues. And father prefers to boil this one into the tea. The midwife has joined him on occasion too. Oh really? I think I saw mother drink it before. It's too bitter for me. Ooh. Trying to remember all this newfound information was not an easy task, but Melia tried to commit the details of the plan to memory regardless, if only to keep Andres entertained. Oh, skip something, sorry. Truly the young girl preferred to search for adventure in their thick forest, but finding a needle in a haystack was not so bad either. So she wondered and pondered and voiced her thoughts. None of these are what we need, right? No waxy leaves and prickly stems on any of them. Sadly, yes. We are searching for something that helps calm stress after labor or other intensive labor. But these are still helpful. I don't want to let Mother Orion down, though. Indeed. Me neither. So come, we will walk in further. Oh no. Stop skip. Sorry, I keep skipping stop. I keep I keep double clicking, I don't know why. But sorry. Okay, let's continue. But this is as deep as we ever went in, indeed. You always stop me if I want to go deeper in the forest. Oh no, that's the flag. Hmm. And there they go. Looking up from his bundle of plants, Henry took in the darker depths of the area. Here the forest became a true labyrinth unknown to the children. Oh no. See, why do I keep skipping stuff? I think my mouse is... Okay, I hope I already fixed my mouse. I don't know. Starting from this point onwards, there will be no safety of prior experience. Oh no, both good and bad. Only the sheer opportunity for new ones, but that brought danger with it. That's a lot of flag. It is a bit scary, right? Indeed. Aha, but also fun. We could find herbs no one has ever seen before. Indeed. We could also find animals, dangerous animals that no one have ever seen before too. That is true. And you've got me right, indeed. We can let the others down. You are right. Of course I am. Laughing softly, Maria patted Enris on his back, an action that made the young boy stumble forward and over a root. Oh no. He landed in a dirt patch, trousers now stained with brown and green spots. Rushing over, Melia immediately apologized, stuck between wishing to lend Enris a hand or picking up the stray plants that had fallen to the ground out of an instantaneous reaction by Enris to try to soften his fall. Herbs, Enris? Uh, duh. 8 points. Indeed. The answer came naturally to her. Ah, that is different. Usually the main point is down here. Melia found herself in front of her friend, staring down at him sympathetically. The herbs for the moment lay forgotten despite the soft winds. Are you alright? Could be better. Didn't hurt the splinter wound though. Mm-hmm. But he smiled let Melia know that Enris was, visibly, not hurt. With his pride being the only wounded thing, the boy set himself up. His hands were covered in the forest grim, and so he withheld them even after Melia reached out helpfully. Reached out helpfully. Don't. I'm so filthy. No, you're not. You're not looking worse than my mother when she's gardening. Indeed. Look at this cute little boy. So Melia grabbed his hands forcefully and raised him up until he stood beside her. Checking him for any bruises meant she had to get into his personal bubble, but she cared little for that and the blush it brought onto his face. Afterwards, she cleaned off her dirty hands on her own clothes, not minding the way fabric stained from the action. See? All good. You're very clumsy today, Andres. Indeed. I am more worried about the plants. What if some of the herbs got lost? Or worse, destroyed? Indeed. Then we just gotta pick them up again. Save them like a true knight would, eh? Ah, you and your knight stories. Indeed. But he did not disagree with Melia's plan, and so the two children rescued the precious remedies eagerly. The small accident dealt with, the children continued moving on, deeper into the forest. What had formerly been the thick underbrush of the forest slowly but surely opened some more, until the sun peeked through the branches and a clearing became visible. I thought we were entering the forest deeper, but alright. Now the warm glow of the day could be felt again, something that drove away the shivers brought on by howling winds. No, this still looks bad. Look, Andres, what do you think it is? A clearing in its midst? A unicorn? I don't know. Or a plain where the deers and dolls play? Never went this far, indeed. I'm not sure, but the sun feels good on my skin. Really warms you up, huh? Indeed. I was about to ask you to cuddle for warmth. I know you just want to scare me with your ice cold fingers, Melia. Melia started giggling, a bright and eager sound to offset the frown that had settled onto Henry's lips. It was melodic in nature and yet full of childish mischief. Me? Tricking you? Never, never in life, never. Now let me hug you. Nuh-uh, did not think of it. I sure didn't. You are grinning like a stray cat that cuffed a mouse. Me being the mouse. I will not fall for it, not again. Be that way then. Then you did get a hug from... Oh, Melia, look! Look what? Andres, completely enraptured by something seemingly extraordinary, jumped out and down in excitement. Melia looked towards him and saw him point towards an object off in the distance. Following his outstretched hand, Melia soon noticed what had her friend so incredibly overwhelmed all of a sudden. Is that? Yeah, that is the plan, isn't it? Sure is. There off in the distance, where the forest cleared up into an almost open pasture, stood a large tree, harboring the miracle herb long searched for. This is really suspicious. It grew around thick branches safe from any low living animal curious to see whether it tastes well. Truthfully, the plants were wrapped around the tree so high up that there was no way for the children to reach it from the ground. That did not stop the both of them from rushing forward, however, everything else prior forgotten. I absolutely adore the sound. We found it. But it's so high up. Well, we can, lift each other up. Henry craned his neck to look up at the tree canopy, mouth wide open. That is much higher than Jan's shelf. It is. Melia let her outstretched hand reach up, yet even on her tiptoes she could not reach the lowest hanging leaves of the tree, much less any of the herbs ones. Mm-hmm. You can climb the tree with your wound, so it must be you, Melia. Melia? You don't mean, yeah, she sure do mean that. Yep, means I have to climb it, right? I'm going to be really careful so you don't have to rescue me. You sure? What if you... No, 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 it's fine, it won't happen. I've climbed a bunch of trees before. But never this one. Well, it looks stable though. See how thick those branches are? I think they can support even the both of us. Excuse me, but I would rather not find it out. Of course not. You just sit here and look pretty like a good princess. Hey, unfair. Just let this knight in shining armor handle it. Only if you call me a prince at least. Oh, fine. Prince Andres, I, your loyal knight, will make sure that any herbalist in the area will have enough medication for weeks. Grinning, Melia decided to strike a pose heroic enough to surely suit a knight. Not that she had any way to be sure, but it definitely made her feel like a noble woman. She carefully regarded the large tree with all its branches and branching parts, looked at its bark and felt the rough texture with her hands. If only she could find a decent first point to take hold of. What about this part? Look, there's a piece of bark that could support your foot. Indeed. Oh yes, that could work. Good job, my liege. Mm-hmm. I, Prince Andres, future amazing court herbalist. Shouldn't that be the other way around? Nonsense, I can be both a prince and an herbalist. Indeed. If you say so. I shall hereby give you the order to collect these very herbs for the goodness of the people. That's your mother. That is your mother, I mean. Understood, my prince. Princeliest friend of mine. Now you're just making fun of me. I would never, your highness. I will never do that. Before he could answer her, either through a disgruntled look that revealed a puppy dog being angry or through bleeding eyes that were also very puppy-like, Melia decided to try out a suggestion. There in the middle of the tree was a piece of bark just protruding far enough from the rest of the surrounding area to work as a first step for climbing. It was just big enough to support a child's foot but that was all Melia needed to be able to grab hold of the lowest hanging branch of the tree. So she used the bark as a makeshift ladder, propelling herself upward in one swift motion, arms stretched to the heavens in order to get to her destination. But all she managed to hold on to was a leaf, which promptly ripped off, causing Melia to fall back down. Oh. At least I landed on my feet. Do I need to try? I'm older, you know. Really? Oh, I just noticed that. I thought you both are on the same age. Nuh-uh, princess, not prince. Oh yeah, prince aren't made to get their hands dirty anyways, and no, even herbalists wash them after adventures. Alright, after adventures, not before adventure. Or no, I mean during adventure. So she tried again, stretching her arms out even further this time. With a little ledge doing its best to support her, held her breath as she jumped up this time. Her hands were outstretched, fingers far enough apart to get a proper hold of the branch, and it was getting nearer, almost ready to touch. Got it. Nice. Do you know where to go from there? Just need to get my legs up like so. With that, Melia used the tree trunk as a ramp, her hands holding on strong to the branch that was twice as thick as her fingers were long. When she could finally get her legs over the branch as well, the worst part was behind her. The muscle in her arm no longer supporting her full weight on their own. Hoisting herself up on the branch after was easy to do. And so she sat up there staring down at Andres with the biggest grin on her face. Told you I could do it. Indeed. Being on top of the world, where in a world could be little more than an old oak tree to a child, was a mesmerizing experience. Even more so as Melia carefully stood up, both feet firmly on the branch underneath her. There was a soft groan to be heard, little more than the howl of the wind, and no less strange in nature. If she listened closely, it sounded almost like a whisper. But no child has ever obeyed the careful warning of nature willingly. Not when the prospect of magic was so ingrained in the deep roots, oh no. Where fairy tales could come true, no fable message would be heard. It was no wonder that the kids were preoccupied with a much simpler circumstance. You are so high up. Indeed, Melia, that is dangerous. Almost as tall as the trees, indeed. Alright, Enris, I'm gonna reach for the herbs now. Indeed. I'll throw them down to you, okay? Okay? No worries, I'm gonna catch them. Can you catch Melia though? Just tell me when you intend to drop them so the wind does not drag them away. Will do. The tree branch held on, sportive even as Melia went on tip of her toes and reached up towards a higher branch, where the much-needed herb had coiled around like a snake. Oh. The wrapped waves of the wax-like leaves were wondrous to look at, and so Melia eyed them a second before she grabbed onto a stem to tuck a part of them down. It took more strength than first thought, as the stems were much durable than those of young flowers. The plant seemed to hold on with all its might, making harvesting difficult. Still Melia succeeded and soon held a small amount of the rare herbs in the palm of her hands. "Got some?" "I saw. That was great, Melia." "And catch it, Andres." With that she let the pile fall onto the ground, only for Andres to catch it effortlessly. Looking down made her a tad uncomfortable, just the slightest bit nauseous, but it was nothing a knight would not be able to handle, indeed. So Amelia chewed up the anxiety and gulped down all fear. "I'll grab some more." "No, no, no, you don't need to, but okay." Breathing in and out once, she made a second attempt to reach for what they had come all this way for. The herbs finding a home in every satchel were more than enough, yet one could never have enough remedies. Right. Shouldn't be too greedy. After all, these plans were for the good of the village. But even well-meant greed could lead to oh no, Amelia, fall. You sure do love the poetic of it, right? Eh? Melia, crack. The heart came after a slow, starting with the warmth of a leaking flame that soon erupted into a hot, searing fire. Much worse than the wound that a splinter could do, because wreck would hurt less than broken bones, indeed. This hurt spread throughout her whole leg, lighting nerves aflame and bringing screams alive. It took more strength than first thought, as the stems were much durable than those of young flowers. The plant seemed to hold on with all its might, making harvesting difficult. Still Melia succeeded and soon held a small amount of the rare herbs in the palm of her hands. "Got some?" "I saw. That was great, Melia." "And catch it, Andres." With that she let the pile fall onto the ground, only for Andres to catch it effortlessly. Looking down made her a tad uncomfortable, just the slightest bit nauseous, but it was nothing a knight would not be able to handle, indeed. So Amelia chewed up the anxiety and gulped down all fear. "I'll grab some more." "No, no, no, you don't need to, but okay." Breathing in and out once, she made a second attempt to reach for what they had come all this way for. The herbs finding a home in every satchel were more than enough, yet one could never have enough remedies. Right. Shouldn't be too greedy. After all, these plans were for the good of the village. But even well-meant greed could lead to oh no, Amelia, fall. You sure do love the poetic of it, right? Eh? Melia, crack. The heart came after a slow, starting with the warmth of a leaking flame that soon erupted into a hot, searing fire. Much worse than the wound that a splinter could do, because wreck would hurt less than broken bones, indeed. This hurt spread throughout her whole leg, lighting nerves aflame and bringing screams alive. Oh no. It hurts, Andres, indeed it is. Melia, can you stand? Can try. At once, Andres was at her side, small hands trying to give support by hooking underneath her arms. This way he could help to lift up her off the ground, and it seems to be working, at least until Melia put weight on her left leg. Ow! A sharp new bolt of pain ran through her, and with a tearful yell she fell back down. Iris could only watch in horror as she began to clutch her leg to bring it in a position that hurt less. I... What should I do, Melia? Deep in the woods, with no way to properly support her, Andres began pacing nervously. No, Andres. I need to get an adult, indeed. But then you're all alone. But if I don't go, we're stuck here, indeed. Just go, Andres. It's much more better if you go and search for someone. Although, yes, it is dangerous for Amelia. It's more better than both of you endangered. Yeah, mother needs the herb. You can bring Jan, right? Or the midwife or someone. Mother and my sibling need you. But you, it's okay. It's okay, Andres. Melia will wait here. I'm sure everything will be fine. I'm sure. You'll come back for me, right? Of course. Ow, that hurt. Grimacing, Melia crawled over to rest against the tree trunk. The broken branch laid close, a stark reminder of the situation Melia had just experienced. She followed away from the branch up towards the canopy of the tree and only now realized the height that she had fallen from. It made her stomach churn. That was so high. Indeed. It is okay, you're going to be all right. I'll bring someone who can help. We'll be back in no time. Oh no, so many flags. I promise. But I should have been the one to. Your bones are broken, Melia. Nonsense. Help me help you by saying where you are. Melia took a deep breath, keeping herself from protesting. Okay, I can do that. Great. Andres came over with a quick step to lay a hand on Melia's shoulder. The warmth of his touch stood in complete contrast with the hot pain clouding her thoughts and the cold wind brushing against her form. It was pleasant, reassuring, real. His face became her only focus, full of determination and the growth that made flowers bloom and form boys into men. Oh, a force to be reckoned with, and yet still carrying the naivety of youth. I know you had such stories, but all stories with such themes carry happy endings, and so. Henry's, why is your face all red? So let me do this. If it can leave curse, then yes, maybe it is worth a try. Andres knelt down in front of Melia, careful to avoid hurting her further, but filled with the need to stay close. What are you going to do, Andres? He smelled of home and whatever hurt could young boys could feel. Something more natural than nature, the deep-rooted type of earthen wishes. I may not be a prince who can cure you, and there are no herbs here that I can use to help you. But, yeah, but what? Fairy tales were wonderful stories, all with an end that was happy. The kiss had, this kiss had no resemblance to them. It was neither magical nor perfect. A kiss such as this, brought upon by numb nervousness, could only taste of chapped lips and childhood longing. It gave hope, taking away a bit of heart in the process. And it was over as soon as it had begun, leaving nothing but silence behind. This is over. You sure kissing someone whose bone broken is a good idea? Yeah, I mean, this is a child. You can chew me out later, sure. I just wanted you to forget about the pain for a second. See you soon, Melia. Until then, I'll be on my way. And he left just like that. The deep silence reigned after. It did so with little more than the whisper of the wind caressing with a soft chill. Melia felt the heat on her cheeks grow colder until red became pink and then vanished altogether. Andres. His name on her lips, taste of honeyed innocence, something more raw and real than before. It was like biting into beeswax, the feeling of it sticking to her teeth. He won't let me down. Oh no. I'm sure of that. Oh no. Andres will be here with help in no time. More flags. Melia held on to the third and tried to find a position against the tree trunk that would lead her to no new pain. The bark at her back was less than comfortable, but at least the tree roots sticking out from the ground made it possible for her to use as an elevated area to lay her leg on. Like this, there was no extra pressure put into the wound. What was left to do was to wait, so waiting was what she did. The tree's canopy let light peek through green leaves, letting beams of sunlight dance across her skin. Millie looked up towards the sky, trying to catch a glimpse of the blue overhead, eager to be free from the clutches of the forest. Oh no, it's getting dark. And so she sat and stared and saw the hints of blue got covered by white, tinting the forest floor in shadow. It was colder then, lonelier. No need to worry, indeed. Just need to be patient, indeed. Sighing, Melia let her attention switch to the path Enris and her had walked on, and her thoughts drifted towards the people close to her. If mother was here, she'd scold me for not keeping my legs still. The midwife was right, calling me a squirrel, but I can fly like a bird. Knowing Mr. Rowan, he'd bring me fresh bread to help me heal, indeed. And Jan would probably just laugh and ruffle my hair. He give me a piggyback ride even if I hate it because he's always so. I wish Jan would have given me a piggyback ride out of here. Oh. She chewed on her lip absent-mindedly, putting more pressure on the flesh with her teeth whenever her wound would shoot up a bolt of pain through her. Overhead, the thick clouds multiplied, a blanket of white that ate up the light eagerly. No sheep could be counted from Melia's ankle down on the ground, so she did not bother with it. The dirt path was, at least in her mind, much more interesting. And so she began to try to identify the herbs and plants that tried to strain their necks in order to get a sliver of the light that would normally touch the forest floor. Thick patches of green became sparsely populated areas there where the shadow reigned. Within them stood a small but dignified plant. Andrew should pick some of this up when he comes back, indeed. Amelia gazed then turned towards a moonlight-colored flower, bright, almost glowing. And I could bring this to Mother as a present. Maybe I'll take her to see this soon. For now all she could do was watch the forest change. And it did change. Cloud part once more to let light through, golden light that began to turn into bronze, giving the parts it touched an orange hue. Ready! Melia closed her eyes, soaking in the warmth the supple light provided. Deep in thought the loneliness was less pronounced, given away and traded for the mental image of her new sibling. Holding it would be a pleasure, powerful enough to let the pain be forgotten. A kiss upon a baby brow would feel much different from Andrew's lips on her own. That memory startled her. The brightness of day was kissed good night in exchange for the afternoon sun, and it was only after she opened her eyes again that she realized the passage of time. It was late. Andres, where are you? Andres should be back by now, right? Indeed. Andres. Okay, now this place. Now I love is that perfect. The immersion. Like it's not just the image of a child get lost alone in the forest. The sound is also perfect. It doesn't feel like a horror movie. It feels like a normal dark forest. What would you imagine from a dark forest? You know what? It's perfect. I'm here. No answer was given, the whole forest as silently judgmental as it had been before. It stared her down from high up in the trees with owls and oaks alike. Owls? How late it is already! Too late was what a voice in the back of her mind started whispering. And the dreadful fear of being forgotten decided to take root and grow within Malia. But Enris would never abandon me. I need to get home. Oh, sorry. A gust of wind made her shiver but did not deter her determination. Deciding to reason like the adults would do, she grit her teeth and started to get up. With broken bones, oh my god. There was no time for tears, though some of them fell. Ah, woo woo. Maybe mother is not feeling okay. Or Jan got lost in the forest. Either way, I need to get back. Indeed. The large brown bird mocked her from high up in the tree, only to fly down with large flaps of its wing taking rest upon the fallen tree branch. Something fell off of it before it became to sit on the wood. It looked amused, if animals were even capable of showing such an emotion. Standing wobbly on her legs, Melia eyed the bird carefully. It preened its feather, letting dust fall off its wings. Dust? The grey dirt soon fell to the earth, and the bird looked much more regal again. Whatever strange substance has dirtied the bird became unimportant as Melia got an idea. The branch! The almost shout was enough to startle the owl, and it quickly reverted its position, deciding to find a higher spot in the trees to overlook the situation. But that was alright. Oh, you can use the branch as a, support. With the goal in mind, Melly hobbled over towards the large branch that had given out under her, causing the wound she now wore. If I break a part of it, I can walk faster, indeed. Find a... Really? Made points. Without hesitation, Melia made a step to grab the first sturdy branch she saw. The wood felt strong underneath her fingertips, and the surface was smooth enough to grasp without causing discomfort. But as she decided to try to break it off, the branch held on strong. No cracking sound could be heard, no matter how much Melia tried to twist it. Dang it! Seeing as the branch would not budge, Melia decided to put her weight on her wounded leg. The pain was almost unbearable, but it freed her healthy leg so she could kick at the wood. Sorry. Come on! Oh, yeah, I skipped something. One kick and a crack could be heard. Second kick, and the branch came loose. The third and last kick ripped the branch free. Melia almost fell backwards but could catch her balance at the last second. She immediately put the pressure on her healthy leg again, but now held a sturdy large branch in her small hands. Alright, this should work, indeed. Did something happen to the village? Oh no. Cradling the branch in her hands gave her newfound strength. It was comforting to have support at the ready, and so Melia tested out her walking aid immediately. Either something happened to Enris or something happened to the village. A finely carved cane would be the better option, but such luxury was not to be found in the forest. Her makeshift help worked well enough. It works, indeed. Okay, you're strong, you can do this. Not one for waiting to be safe, Melia adopted to the steadfast nature of a knight. This all would be easier if I had a horse. But I be princess if I can help myself. And then I prove Enris right. I can get out of here. I know it. It did not matter that dry tears were hugging her cheeks or that the approaching night was eager to nip at her neck with cold kisses. Melia walked with purpose. The shiver running down the back of her like an army of ants would not stop her. And neither will the anthill to her right, quarreling with the ground dwellers. There's an anthill, literally. The thumping sound of Melia's branch made them crawl away from the path, whispering the approaching danger towards their neighbor, and so the ants found a new, safer road to travel. Careful, I didn't want to trouble you guys. Huh? Approaching the hill carefully, Melia cocked her head to the side in confusion upon seeing a weird object stick out, halfway burrowed. That looks like a map, but it's all dirty and crumpled up. Was someone looking for a treasure? Mm-hmm. Should better get going. Mother is probably sick with worry. That is probably the thief's belonging, the thief. Not giving in any more attention, Melia carried on. The thick forest slowly opened up to the area Melia was more familiar with. She felt relief upon seeing the tree canopy let more light shine through, and the eerie coldness that the deep forest seemed to be harbor changed to a more comfortable breeze. Slowly the day died to make a space for the approaching night. And as Melia carried on, it was not the sun but the moon who lit up the path that she walked. Here the wind howler lighter sounds but carried dust. What is that? Oh no. Yeah, I was kind of figured that out since I know that there will be a tragedy that befell Melia, and then I link it to the owl that have dust. And owl, I think it's smoke, isn't it? Fire. A fire has burned Melia's village down, I guess. Grey matter had been blown right into her face, and Melia carefully balanced on her branch to be able to rub the dirt out of her skin. Her hands came back in her vision, stained with dark streaks. What is this? She was just as dumbfounded as before, so she brought the moist hand back to her face and sniffed. Burned. Ash? Is someone having a campfire near here? No. Her eyes lit up with hopeful excitement. Maybe that means... Yes, maybe Enris and Jan or someone else. Someone who is searching for me. I just need to look out for a fire or the smell of freshly burned wood. Don't worry, I'm right here, I'm not lost. With newfound vigor, her pace increased from a steady wobble to eager hopping. Whatever pain still rippled through her legs was a wave resembled a quiet pond at the moment, easy to be overlooked and not at all overwhelming. Adrenaline had taken hold of her, making her believe that a single last sprint would grant her salvation. Hello? I'm here. It is me, Melia, I'm okay. While she received no immediate answer, this did not stop her from calling out. Jan? Enris? I'm alright. Whoever is there, it's me. Oh no. The village did not burn, but do Melia meet a stranger? Hello? The distinct smell of burning wood permeated her nose, an uncomfortable stench that made her cough. You know, at this point I'm guessing. It was overbearing so much so that tears started to prick at her eyes. That's a very thick fog. Not fog, smoke. It's definitely the village. Still, Melia would gladly stand in black smoke if it meant she would be found. So as she saw bright light flicker through the trees, she could feel her heartbeat in her chest. It was strong drumming that anticipation had built, and she hurried along to the shining light like a moth to flame. It was a literal flame. The deep red mixed with the bluish brown so much so that the bright color demanded to be seen in all its glory. And Melia followed its call. One step further, two steps further. I love how there's no sound at all. Three steps left. And then I'm home. I must say that's a nice fire sound. What? But no fire cracked softly. No makeshift camp existed. No one waited. No one spoke. Destruction was a harsh word. One the tales meant for children would not speak of. It sat locked away from the innocence of youth. But destruction was what reigned here, far in the distance. There where the houses became heart of flames, where the grass burned down to the dirt. It was there where the light shone, licking red finger tongues and opening yellow hungry mouths. It bit into every nose until tears fell so it could lick up the salt. Destruction was no gentle monster. It will never soothe its hunger. The village. It's burning. But why? Oh, Melia. Why is it? Why am I? Is that why no one came? Indeed. If it were not for her supporting branch, William would have lost her balance. But as it were, she could not stop her trembling form. It was so much worse than the panic a wounded leg could cause, if indeed. This fear was one born from haste and heartbreak, and it made her numb to any physical pain. What was important could not be carved out of wood. It could not break like branches. What mattered was alive and alive with every beat of her heart, and she had to find it. So she pressed on, speaking names into the foreboding night as though the act alone could bring anyone and anything to life. Mother, Henris, Jan, no one. Oh, Mother, Henris, Jan. It's Melia, I'm alright. How about Mr. Rowan? Please answer me. Oh. Melia called the whole way, even as her voice became hoarse and her throat started to hurt from the smoke. Even as the fire became nearer and the heat started to burn. Even as she went through the destroyed gate signaling the start of her village. Even as she rushed to her home, and a one safe haven for her, giving shelter and love, wanting nothing in return, where the bed was made and the meals were home cooked. That place where she had held the hand of her mother was not a day prior, where her siblings was soon to be born. The very place where one could grow up fearing not even the monsters under the bed. Home. Mother. A childhood could end just like that. Most reminiscent about their youth with a quiet longing, something that was born from thinking back on happy times. The kind of memory one loved to hold onto with a soft embrace. Melia felt the need to claw at her burning past until the thoughts turned into trinkets of terror in her hands. Ash warmed her skin, the only thing left from destruction, and it slipped through her fingers, leaving only a grey soot behind. That pile at her feet could have been a wooden figure, or a painstakingly created piece of furniture. It was the work of nature, or nurture, either crafted by Mother Earth herself or by hands that she had given birth to. Now it was nothing, nothing to behold. She could hardly find the strength to look up, to stare ahead into the flames that devoured her home with fire tongues and smoke teeth. Melia thought all of it constricted her throat, pumping gray into her lungs until she felt that her heart must have burned down too, because breathing became painful and whatever she coughed up was as dark as the ash. But such hurt meant nothing compared to the fear bubbling up inside her. Mother? The fire answered by gnawing at a wooden beam until it moaned underneath the weight of flames and came crashing down, letting the remainder of the roof topple down with it. Melee shielded her body on instinct, bringing up her ashen-covered hands in front of her face, and the heat was relentless in wanting to burn. She should move but felt frozen. Okay, someone alive. Girl, you need to get out of here. At once a hand grabbed hold of her, throwing her back as if she weighed nothing. The impact of the ground left her confused, but the person who had rescued her was already blended into a crowd of frantic victims watching their lives burn down around them. She only knew it had not been her mother, and that was not enough to get her to stand, a goal in mind, and that was enough. Mother is out there, Andrews too. If I can find them. No, I have to find them. The branch she had used prior to get around had already found to the flames and burned bright with crackling sounds. There was no use in trying to find something else, especially in such a chaotic crowd. The people did not give her any attention, too preoccupied with finding their own friends and family. She heard neighbors scream out names in panic only to not receive an answer. But whereas there was usually a hustle and bustle in the area, what voices there were now were either swallowed by the chaos or faint and broken. People wailed and cried and held hands of the long gone. those that smelled of smoke and ash, some crushed by debris, others murdered in cold blood. Murdered. The rest blackened and unrecognizable. Melius focused on none of them and all of them at once, too overwhelmed by the death and decay around her. Where's Mr. Rowan? Why are you thinking about it? That guy still owes me 3 silver coins. Two men, as if not taking in any of the chaos around them, start bickering about something as irrelevant as money. Upon hearing the well-known name, Melia tried to drag herself over the two fools, harboring a false hope of receiving help. Have you seen my mother? Business. If he's still alive, he won't be much longer once I'm done with him. Orion Enris, have you seen my mother? Stop caring about your goddamn coins. This situation was useless, indeed. Recognizing it as such, Melee instead set her attention on an injured woman, her arm stained with blood. Some of it was dried already, flaking off and mixing with the ash below, while the rest shone a bright red. Oh no, the midwife. Such a color was different from fire, a contrast of wet life and dried death. Melia tried her best to not focus on the open gash. Okay, it's not the midwife. She wobbled towards the center of the village, and some other people, mangled men and wounded women alike, followed her. Within the chaos, Melia could make out fragments of sentence. Said Yan has set up a makeshift. Indeed. Can really help? I think. Only one way to find. The simple mention of Yan's names made Melia feel an ounce of relief. If Yan was alright, there was a higher chance for Enris and Mother to be alive and healthy too. Whatever bruises Melia herself had were unimportant in comparison. She could wait to receive help, her body running on adrenaline and fear alone. I need to follow them, indeed. Yan is probably at his home. That means there's a high chance. Yes, Enris might be there too. And if the midwife is helping out, maybe Mother. Ow! Stepping through the burning wasteland that was once her village made for a difficult endeavor. Not only because of the heat and smoke, but due to the debris. Melia found herself falling over a thick wooden pillar that must once have belonged to a farmhouse, and as luck would have it. My leg! Oh no. Wait! Don't leave me! But a small group had already left her behind. Once more, Melia was alone. Oh, Melia, you need to get up. Though able to stand up again, Melia could feel the thick wetness of fresh blood staining her leg. It traveled downwards, carving a line of red scar across her flesh. A line of red, sorry. Within it glittered dirty shard of glass. Oh. Need to. I need to. Grabbing hold of the biggest piece with her finger, she could feel the edge drive small cuts into her skin. But the glass came out easily enough, even with shaking hands. Oh. But... oh. Clenching her teeth together, Melia made to pull out the remaining 2 shards. These were smaller and more difficult to grasp. Come on! She tried her best, not minding the tears that freshly fell down on her face. One managed to come out in the end, the other two deeply burrowed in to get a hold of. I need to get to Yan, indeed. With her walking speed decreased even further, her walk throughout the broken village became more of a crawl. But what mattered was that she pressed onwards, even further deep into the heart of the carnage. There where the big tree stood, ever watchful, now in flames. Ah, the trees, yes, I can see it. Even you? It seems to screech the way the flames made the inside of the tree pop and crackle as the water evaporated. A low wail as each branch burned bright. It encompassed the single highest towering sphere of flames that engulfed the village. Here memories crumbled and perished. But mothers always said you are our eternal tree, that you protect us, watch over us, and give us hope. Trees, unlike fantastic creatures known from fables, did not rise out of ash. Once burned, a forest could only provide new ground for what came after it, a new, clean slate, without wood to turn into pages and inscribe with knowledge. No one would make a book out of these tree branches. It would simply leave behind a burned-out husk, a faint resemblance of what once was. Melia stood in silence. Trying to recall memories of better times was a fruitless endeavor. So she simply stared longingly at the three desperate attempts to stay strong. If you see Henry's big tree, with much effort, Melia walked over to a spot mostly free from destruction and debris. And in the dirt she wrote the only word Henry had successfully managed to teach her yet. Siren. Her name. Oh, sorry. Yeah, what was her name? Oh my god. Tell him Melia was here, okay? I will plant a new seed in your place, eventually. But until then, tell him I am alive, please. And I won't forget the memories I have of you. Of course the tree did not answer her, for it was not magical. Still she watched it burn with all the colors of the sun, thinking that maybe some things could indeed survive such sadness. Then she walked on towards the marketplace, a place that once she reached it was just as much a victim of whoever had wished to cause harm to a peaceful village as the rest of it all. Sorry. Only with the difference that a lot more bodies littered the floor and the smell of iron could be felt even over the drowning thickness of the smoke. What happened here? Here stands and store were robbed of their wares and knocked over or cut apart. Is it a bandit pack? Once friendly faces of shopkeepers were frozen in endless terror, eyes wide, mouth agape. To Melia they look as though stuck in an eternal nightmare. But looking longer, staring straighter, would not wake them up. So she averted her gaze, choosing instead to focus on the few loiterers that tried to take whatever could help them survive this aftermath. Oh, when she came across the woodworker's shop, she was surprised to see few of the wares taken, though most were destroyed or burned instead. The knight and horse figures she had eyes with curiosity were gone, however. And there was no hint towards the shopkeeper's condition, save for a bloody handprint that could have belonged to any other wounded man. Nothing here can help me, indeed. Why she lingered in such a useless place Melia could not understand, but she brushed her bloodied and dirty hand against one of the wooden figures anyhow, picking it up and setting it down. Again and again, as though battling with the inner child of hers that would have rejoiced upon being given a toy. Now she let it be, and wandered further. What was left of Mr. Rowan wares had fallen victims to whoever valued a piece of bread over their morality. Mr. Rowan, and besides the man himself was nowhere to be found either. Only stray piece of crumbs reminded Melias of the conversation they had started before. It's all gone. With a sigh, she left that place behind as well. Her feet carried her even slowly away from the marketplace. Away from the woodworker, Rowan's bakery, the tavern, flower shop, and more. Everything was simply destroyed in various ways, and lingering only made the sweet stench of death more pronounced. Made it crawl up into her nose and stay there. Don't look, Indeed. Keep moving. Keep moving, man. Come on, you can do it. Looking up towards the moon instead of the ground gave comfort. The moonlight was a white shimmer as always, and no star shone less bright. Up in the sky, nature showed its truth. Whatever community existed could be trampled like a simple plant, and Mother Nature did not care. There was something comforting about that fact, that new knowledge of these illusions, because a being that did not show pity would actually not show any cruelty. This is not my fault. It isn't, Amelia, it isn't. If Mother knew I was alright, she'd say the same. But you can show me the way either. Alright, I just have to get to Yan. It's not far. It is just behind the smoke. Behind the smoke. I'm almost there. What greeted Melia's eyes was a burning building wrapped in bands of fire. Indeed. It used to be a place of comfort for her, where books stood harboring stories, where the air smelled of herbs even on cold days, where a third of her life was spent. That place with the calm atmosphere and wonky shelves made from wood. Now it burned down like everything else around it. But far beside it, a spot as far away from danger as possible, stood a makeshift place for the ill and injured. Oh, okay. Some benches, stools, and crates to sit on, wrinkled sheets spread out to be used as beds, remedies and medication in small quantities. There's a survivor here, indeed. Not many compared to all the people Melee had seen that had not made it, but enough to give hope in a hopeless situation. There was no usual cheer in the group, only mild murmuring. People moaned from the pain or lay unconscious with injured family or friend by their side. One or two townspeople, still outwardly alright, ran between those less fortunate than them, bringing bandages and whatever else they could find to hopefully fix up the worst wounds. Jan, struggling to walk over now that her goal was almost in reach, Melia felt her strength began to ebb away. So it was adrenaline alone that pushed her forward, that numbed the pain of her still bleeding leg and broken bones. The distant silhouettes of people became clearer the nearer she got, and as she stood in front of the camp with the complete annihilation of her village her back and the fragile resemblance of what was left for the future in front, her face became pale. Because there, in the middle of it all, stood a person she knew, the midwife. Mouth open in hopeful shock, Melia focused on her alone, indeed. Eyes hollow, glazed over. Not like the dead, but like a mother who had lost her child. Baldwin. Her son isn't with her, and he didn't come get me, indeed. Melia had never seen such an expression on a person's face before today. But she had heard the wails of mothers cradling the broken remains of what was once their heart. And the midwife, meant to bring life into the world, could now only do her best to stop the loss of many more. Still, Melia felt the need to call out, no matter how hoarse her voice was. Hey! Sure. Oh, Melia. It's me, Melia. Face lighting up in recognition and with tears streaking at her eyes, the midwife turned around, only for the newfound happiness to die out the moment she saw the condition Melia was in. Melia! She rushed over, cradling Melia's cheek with well-worked hand dirtied by the blood of others. Oh, sweet, sweet girl. You look... But no, you are alive. Oh, your mother will be... Oh, thank God. She stopped herself. Oh no. And Melia stayed silent in return. There, was, there were no words that needed to be said. Her mother was not here, and neither was Enris, nor the midwife's own son. We need to patch you up, right? You are strong, so strong. Her hands holding on to Melia's cheek did not have the same warmth as her mother. but they were human and alive. It was enough to get her to choke up, and for a moment she was the child again that she had been hours prior. Shh. Your leg will heal, I'll make sure of it, yes? Mother Henry's? Oh. Feeling the midwife wrap her arms around her, Melia was enwrapped in a smell of smoke and sweetness. It was a hug that did not dry any tears. It existed, and that was enough. And maybe there was a grief in it, shared in an unspoken way with neither of them thinking about fears that could not be thought of as certainty. It's okay. I need to... What is it, child? Jan, the people said Jan is fetching whatever remedies he can, indeed. He has done a tremendous job so far, Melia. Then his... But it is burning. Not one to elicit by even against all odds, Melia untangled herself from the embrace of the midwife. What are you doing, Melia? Melia stepped away, despite having to clench her teeth as she did so. You don't need to, Melia. If I can see Jan, then Henry's... What if he knows something? I'm sorry. Melia! But again the protest of the midwife, Melia limped away from the makeshift camp. The woman meant to follow her only to be held back by the cruelty of the overall situation. Oh, midwife! My wife! I can feel her pulse. Elia. I'm coming. Reluctantly she left the young girl behind, but not before giving her a last glance praying for her safety. The pain in Melia's leg, throbbing and irksome, could wait. It had to. For what it was worth, she did not follow. Most probably due to the other people still in need of help. Inwardly, Melia sent a myriad of apologies into the heavens. But right now, she needed to bridge the burning sanctuary. Coming closer towards it, the stench of burning woods became overwhelming once more. No matter, she shielded her nose and mouth with her dirty sleeve and approached the house. That's a nice music. Now almost within her grasp, the open door stood like a welcoming arc into a hellscape. Jan! Jan, it's me, Melia! Jan! Huh? Through the embrace of Rena's flame kiss until it fell into its knees, the house gave in to death. A shocking, all-encompassing return to the earth, because there were no pillars left to defend the will to withstand gravity. And so it fell. And it was different from a tree branch breaking, different from a whole tree set alight, because it housed precious life even yet. Jan! Oh no. Melia could only shielded herself from the impact, could only scream the smoke from her lungs. But dragons did not exist here. There was nothing burning in her soul. It was only burning down. All of it. And she did not feel her feet carrying her forward, did not notice the flames that yearned to touch her skin. The world was black and broken. And in the constricting darkness, a frail voice whimpered. Help! Someone. No smoke could cloud her memory. Jan! It came from within the heated hell that brought her to her knees. So Melia crawled toward the voice, kept company only by the flames that managed to light up what broken pieces could receive attention. And some of them frame a man. Crushed. Under debris and destruction and everything else that was dying. Jan, I can get you out of here. Just... Remove the debris of it. There was a saying, leave no stone unturned. So Amelia grabbed hold of a caracal wood and stick and stones, frail hands blackened and shaking. There was too much, too heavy, too large. It only shifted the weight, giving the dying man discomfort. No need. Please stop. So she did. What was left to do was cry. Melia wanted to feel the tears run down her cheek, washing off the dirt and grime and leaving salt and a hollow feeling behind. But for whatever reason, none of them would come. So Melia simply hiked, frantically holding onto his tattered shirt like a lifeline. Oh. Jan, I need to. We cannot just leave you here. You will have to, Melia. And go on living, alright? He found her hands and held them tightly. No dirt, no grime mattered. The blood felt cold and lifeless as it stained her, and the object he placed into her palm. What? Your ring. A treasure. Not often spoken about, but for all to see. An act of love for someone else, an endless band meant to last a lifetime. And in a way it did. Keep it. I need to. People should not spit blood. Indeed. Their lips should not stain dark red. Jan should not choke on his own knife. But he did. Andres. What about Andres? Is he? Melia? Listen. I am Jan. I am. Andres is. Yeah? The hand in hers grew weaker. Oh no. Died. Until it fell, leaving the ring behind, precious metal painted in red. What is Andres? Jan? You need to say something. The music just stopped. Oh no. Melia. You poor child. Look at her eyes. Anything. Jan? Single breath. One inhale. One exhale. And all was still. End of the demo. Thank you for playing. So that is Colors of Fate. You know how to describe this demo? It has an it has a very excellent quality. I really love it. And if you want to describe the feeling of playing the demo, it feels like you're being raised up as high as you can, being happy and all, and then suddenly being slammed onto the ground as hard as you can with all the tragedies and stuff. It hurts. Right, so I guess that is all for Colors of Fate. I'll see you later then in my next video. Bye bye.